Alright, welcome back to the channel everybody. Aesop Grim here, and this is the continuation of my blind playthrough of RDR2 in 2025. And it is 9:30 at night on Sunday evening, so this is your Monday episode. My sleep schedule is nuts. I just woke up. I'm sleeping like in spurts. I went to church this morning though, because I was still awake when it was time for church, so for me that's a win. Whenever I get on these wild rock around the clock sleep schedules, there are times that I miss church because my sleep time is right then. It's like right in the middle of my sleep time. So I did go to church this morning. I went to sleep like at 1:30 in the afternoon, and I'm just now waking up. So we're going to try and get at least one episode of RDR2 recorded and have stuff ready for this week. So what are we going to do today? Let's take a look at our to-do list. Oh, that's right. We got to finish up Leopold Strauss's stuff. Looks like we have another thing for the mayor available also at nighttime. If we go see him at nighttime. Okay. What time is it? 7:48 a.m., so nothing will be ready for camp. What's the status of food and stuff? It doesn't really tell us. So we're not at a state in this camp yet where Arthur needs to provide provisions.
Morning,
That's
Arthur.
what I'm thinking. It looks chilly outside. This looks like fall weather to me, and the leaves are falling, I think. I haven't looked directly at that stuff, but my peripheral vision, of course, is... Yeah, there's one that just fell. Okay, so, and they're on the ground. Okay, so we're definitely in fall.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the game probably has that scripted according to what chapter you're in. Let's see, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? So that's going to mean warmer and warmer gear as time moves on. Got dream catchers up here. So we're in tribal lands, evidently.
Yep.
And 1899. I don't know. I think by 1899, Indians were already at a pretty low population rate and mostly on reservations. But I'm not 100% on that, I guess. Okay, so I guess there's a wolf out there. Yeah, we're away from it now. Oh, look, we gotta make another turn. What turn did I miss this time?
Yeah.
Okay, right here. Sounded like a cat. I don't see anything on the map, though. Find Arthur Londonberry. Alright, well, I think he's down there in the camp. Let's see if we can get down that way. Not really. Well, yeah, it tells us keep going this way. Okay. Okay. Yep. Looking for a place I can hitch up to. We're gonna go ahead and dismount right here. I don't see anywhere to actually hitch to. Yep. Okay. I was gonna say maybe this guy knows.
I'm looking for an Arthur Londonderry. I was told he works here.
Londonderry? Oh, you'll want to speak to the foreman. He's down in the pit.
Looks like we're supposed to veer off to the right.
Arthur Londonderry. Is he here?
I'm sorry, fella, but you're too late. Arthur's dead.
Wow.
The man's dead. What's wrong with you?
Oh, boy, you can't exactly beat it out of him now, can you? You might get something off his widow just across from Butcher's Creek, but I'd hurry. You ain't gonna be the only one a-knocking.
Wow.
You ought to be ashamed of
Hey,
yourself.
I ain't the godforsaken money lender.
I mean, he's got a point. The known location of the target has been updated on the map with a $sign. Okay. He ain't laughing at the fact that Arthur's dead. He's laughing at the fact that we're out here trying to collect on a dirty business where we exploited that family. And Arthur ain't around to beat up on to make that happen. He's laughing at us. How do I get up here? Oh, that worked. Okay.
On your way now.
Um... This is Londonderry. Alright. Is this gonna be another debt that Arthur forgives?
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Off we go. Alright. Well, I don't have all the ins and outs of it. Partly because it's the weekend, and mostly because of this wacky sleep schedule I'm on puts me out of rhythm with the news cycle, but LA's rioting, and it's not really American citizens as far as I can tell. Not mostly. Now, Antifa's present because Antifa's present at all these things. Half of them are activists and half of them are paid, that I think. You got the rent-to-riot squads out there. I am now learning that Mayor Karen Bass is a literal communist who has been drawn to specifically Fidel Castro, his brand of communism, since the 70s. And that I heard one rumor, and it's just one source that I saw this from, and I can't remember the name of the group. That would be really helpful, but I'm being honest, I can't remember. Maybe it was DED, I'm not sure. But there's this guy said that it was a CIA cutout, and it was a rent-a-riot organization. One of these non-profit, non-governmental organizations. And that it was a front for the CIA. And she worked for them for a while and eventually rose to the very top. And so, oh yeah, let's go ahead and see what happens here.
I don't want an adventure. I want my dad.
Be brave, sweet angel. Be brave.
Fine.
Mrs. Londonderry?
Arthur's dead.
I know. I'm sorry for it. It's just... we lent Arthur some money, you see, and...
So it was you. You son of a bitch. What do you want now? You want my boy's shoes? You want the food out of our bellies, what little there is? You want me to lie down for you?
No.
Arthur gave everything to pay your bills. Everything. And now there's some fellas coming to take the house. There ain't nothing left, mister.
Yeah, absolve it. And give money there.
I just wanted to say the debt's canceled, and here, take this. It won't bring your husband back, I know. You need money and I don't.
Well, you're a good man. I just wish you'd done it before he worked himself into the grave. But you know, maybe you and your friend that lent him the money could do things differently. Like, not threaten a man. Excuse me.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I really am.
Well, that's as close to an absolution as you're going to get out of a situation like that. Some things just can't be made up, you know? But he's doing the best that he can, I guess. I still see it as just being more practical. Arthur's on his way out. He's put some people in a bad position because he was complicit with it. And so he's distributing resources to those that he is most, I guess, like indebted to. Let's see. Let's go see Leopold, who is terrified right now. Little coward. I don't want to make light of old people getting scared of their time coming. I think that could be, you know, pretty common. I would guess, I would not be surprised if that is common amongst certain factions. I would be surprised if it's common with Christians. This is why when people talk about Christians being scared of life and needing to have a savior to lean on in a crutch, it just doesn't make sense. Christians are some of the most courageous people out there because they're not afraid of death. They don't have any sense that the physical death that's on its way here on this earth is their passage into the great nothing and their life is over. That's something that atheists suffer from. It's called existential dread.
Yeah.
So, so I don't want to make fun of just the fact that Leopold's getting older and is terrified about not being able to provide for himself now that the gang's fallen apart and everything. And I don't really know how quite to phrase it, really, but there is an element of fear that seems to have driven him throughout his whole life is what I'm suspicious of. And that the reason that he robs from the weak and exploits the weak is because he was too scared of making it. I think maybe he saw the world as being a terrifying place and didn't think that he could make his way in it, so pick on the weak and the sick and exploit them for your own gain because survival of the fittest, right? Well, now he's on the other end of that equation and he's terrified. That's reading a lot into it, but that's what I'm suspicious of. All right, so Karen Boz, full-blown communist, deep state plant. Hold on. There's always something, isn't there?
You gotta help me. I need medicine.
Here, drink up.
Oh, thank you. Reckon I was done for there. I had a bite of that plant over there and it hit my guts like a freight train. It's that little one over there with the pink flowers. I'd stay well clear of that if I was you.
Yeah, I think you've sold me on that plan.
Tell me about it.
This one? It won't let me pick it. Okay. So I think that Karen Baz is a deep state plant. But the thing that's happening here, I think, is overall really, really good. And to explain it, I'm going to take you on what seems like a completely unrelated route. D-Day just recently, the anniversary of D-Day just passed, just a couple days ago.
There, boy.
And from an American perspective, that was the last, I guess, what you might call traditional war, where everybody has their uniform on and you know who's who. After that, you start getting into Vietnam, Grenada, Middle East, Gulf War I and II.
Come on, Gab. Come on. I miss you.
Oh, this guy's from that one town.
It's not funny.
He's way out here.
Come back to me. Oh, I can't believe
this.
I don't want nothing to do with it. And that's what I call circular warfare. It's now gone completely guerrilla. The enemy looks like the civilian population. There are no front lines. You're really just trying to exterminate them to the point that they can't fight anymore. So you have to fix them in a location and kill as many of them as you can. But that doesn't mean that that town's not going to get infested later on. So it's not like you're taking ground. See, the wars before was more about land.
Who are you?
Okay, we don't want to be here. Oh, yeah, Leopold, okay. Alright, well, hold on. Is that him to the left? I think so. Well, this might be a fight.
Hey,
Ah, how did you get on, Mr. Morgan?
just dandy. Just get up.
What?
Get up!
What is wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Nothing at all.
What are you doing?
Something I should have done a long time ago. Get your bag. Is this it?
I don't understand.
I ain't gonna kill you, though I probably should. You disgust me. And you shame us. If we could be shamed any more than we already are, that should do. Go!
I don't understand you. What are you doing?
Go and get a job!
You know, they say the sick delude themselves. I was your friend.
You and me, we ain't decent. But those folk, they was. Now here, take that. Take that and get lost.
I'm
Leaving.
Well, I guess that's been decided. All right. What time is it? Can we get some... We should be able to get a meal if there's something available. I don't really think that the camp is set up for that yet. Yeah, never mind. Never mind. All right, where are we going to go next? Well, we got Sadie. What are these little red sections? I think that just because it's a fort, there's not anything I can pay off to get that cleared is what I'm guessing. I'll tell you what, I'm out of mint. So I want to go get more herbs. And I want to save this for next episode. Maybe we'll work until nighttime and then come down here and find out what the mayor wants. I need to get near a river. So we're going to head down to here, I think. Well, I know I can find mint over here. I'm not sure I can find... This is more of a southern climate, like a subtropical. So let's go to here. Okay.
So, you got tired of making money, did you, Blacklung?
What the hell?
Well, I
guess it's true what they say. You can't take it with you. But Herr Strauss, I thought you liked helping the weak and unfortunate.
You're unfortunate. I don't like helping you.
Very amusing. Just try to stop making more trouble for us. Some of us are trying to save folk, not make unnecessary dramas.
Oh, hi, Arthur.
Okay. All right, so you had this old classic version of war that once World War came really started to change then because mass killing became a thing. Industrialized. War became industrialized. And maybe that's a reason for the shift. I don't know. I'm not really trying to talk about the development of war. What I'm trying to point out is that after World War II, things became much murkier because, again, from the American perspective, the enemy began to blend in with the civilian world. Now, I'm going to tell you something here that is pretty controversial. There's a lot of people in the military that would disagree with me. But when I read up on, well, this part, I guess I'm going to tell you something controversial, and I'm going to set it up by saying another thing that's controversial. But this first thing I'm talking about is not as widely controversial. It's the second thing that I'm telling you that plenty of people in the military during my time and now would disagree with me. It's my opinion, okay? But the first thing that I'm going to tell you is that when we dropped the A-bomb on Nagasaki, we saved lives. Now that's a position that there's going to be plenty of people that disagree with that. Japan has raised their, as I understand it, has raised their generations of kids since then, believing that America was did something very evil. That's how they taught it in their schools, from what I hear. But I don't think so. From now, who's been propagandized? Is it me or is it them? I don't know. I don't know. But what I believe makes sense to me. The things that I heard, and the things that I heard was that America, and I think this lines up with the American spirit. I just think that this is the way that it really was. America made an assessment of how many lives it would take to finish off the island hopping campaign and fight Japan on its home ground of the island of Japan under the context of a culture that existed under imperial worship, right? And when they took a look at how many American lives that would cost, for, as far as our military men, how many Japanese lives it would cost as far as their military men. What do we got here?
I'll kill him. You carry. Yeah. You can carry me too. I'll carry you. How about that? I'd pay to see you try. God
Die angry.
I like to see how strangers bleed.
Really? I'm impressed. All right. So the assessment and most importantly, how many Japanese civilians, women and children especially, because our understanding of Japanese culture told us that the emperor would order them, much like Hitler did, but with, I think, much stronger credibility with the population than Hitler had, to fight to the last man, woman, and child. It would be like a holy war. And we would have to slaughter a large amount of the Japanese population in order to finish that war in that way. Or we could bomb whichever one of them was first, Nagasaki, and show them here's what we're able to do. Your choice. And you can look at what the Japanese resolve was. We blew up an entire city. Its entire population vaporized. Nobody could even fathom that kind of destructive capability was possible at that time. So imagine the shock and awe effect. And the Emperor still said no.
Come on, pal.
So we bombed Hiroshima. And we told him we can do this all day. Tokyo's next. How long you want to play? This is all up to you. And then he went ahead and capitulated. And I'm telling you, from what I hear, we uncovered plans where the Japanese had already prepared huge caves on their home island and stocked them with rice and water so that they could carry on a guerrilla warfare for an estimated 5 years. 5 whole years of the civilian population being thrown into a meat grinder, fed and supplied to spend the next 5 years of their life just dying slow.
Yep.
So that's what we averted by sacrificing two towns, two small towns, relatively speaking. They're not Tokyo size is what I mean. I don't know if they're small. They're not villages. They were cities. Right. So for the Japanese, they're horrified, right? But this strategy saved lives. And the ultimate point I'm trying to make here is that if you want criminals, or in this case, the Japanese weren't criminals, they were, if you want opposition to be deterred from opposing you, you got to give them reason. And you got to give them really hard reason that the fight's not worth the cost. And the quicker you do that, the quicker people adjust their behavior, because need is the mother of all invention. I just really, really believe in that. That's one of the core phrases that a lot of my decisions revolve around. Need is the mother of all invention. I've heard it said, of course, I don't believe mankind is an animal, but I've heard it said that humanity is the most adaptable animal on the planet. Well, minus the word animal, that's true. We are thinking people, and we can find a way to overcome just about anything. You've got that phrase, where there's a will, there's an A. You provide the appropriate amount of motivation, and somebody will figure out how to overcome their worst fears. It's just, that's how it is. That's just how people work. Whether it's not for everybody. You got to kind of match the training method to the person. But we have another phrase: throw them in at the deep end of the pool. They'll learn. They'll learn how to swim. Sink or swim is another phrase that we have. We have all kinds of phrases. And every culture and language has these idioms. They have their own idioms that is all about, you can overcome a tremendous amount if you're made to. If really push comes to shove, look, that's another idiom. If your back is against the wall, if you're behind the 8 ball, look how many phrases we have talking about this. So then I believe that if you have opposition and you're leading one force in defense of your people or in defense of something against another force, it could be anything from a neighborhood scrap to a full-fledged war. Your entire job is to help the enemy make the right decision, you know, and give them that motivation. So whenever I was in Iraq, my belief was ultimately these towns that we would go into, the terrorists would take over and they would occupy buildings and put their snipers up there, and they would fight us from these buildings. And the military, the U.S. military in particular, has kind of a minimum collateral damage policy. We just kind of learned this throughout the years, that the less we only go after military targets. This is all stuff that's taught as theory, as principle, as a way of thinking to every person in the U.S. military. This is how we think. Avoid collateral damage, avoid civilian death toll, because you don't want to embitter your enemy and entrench them against you. Okay, that makes sense from a certain perspective, right? If you're, in other words, you don't want to walk into a town, kill all the terrorists, and then start shooting the civilians because you feel like they're to blame for your buddies being dead. That's not going to ingratiate the civilian population towards you, and it's going to make it harder to end that war, and it might even drive them into the hands or the arms of the terrorists. My thought was, when you walk into a town and there are terrorists in a building, that the civilian population is sitting there saying, what can we do? These people have come in and strong-armed us. Well, there's plenty you can do. There's plenty you can do. It might cost you some lives, and you don't want to spend that cost. But, brother, I'm going to cost you some lives. And so my position would be, howitzer a building. They want to shoot at us from buildings, you drop that entire building and bury everybody in rubble. And it's not like I would level a whole town. But the two primary buildings that terrorists took, the two most defensive capable buildings in any city that I walked into that terrorists took over, I would just bomb them. And that sends a message real quick to these other towns out around the country that you got a choice to make. Either you tolerate these guys or you tolerate me howitzing your building. And that's a need drives all invention thing right there, I think. If you want law and order to work, you got to make, switching over from war to the civilian side, you got to make doing the crime less beneficial than facing the consequences. If you're not enforcing your law at a strict enough with harsh enough penalties, you are only emboldening others to take their chances. That's what I think. It's definitely a gray area. There's not really a black and white. You got to feel this out in the moment, right? So it's going to take some good judgment. But you know, I've long kind of held the position of course, there's no way I would go and do this. I have to kind of cover myself on. This is not the time. I don't believe this would be the appropriate strategy. But if the country implodes and there is no law and order, and people are having to create a society all over again, this is one of the things that I think might work. Hang a couple politicians. You hang a couple politicians and see how the rest go about grifting.
Yep.
Right. So it's not like it hasn't happened before. American history is really rich in the whole tar and feather thing and throwing tea overboard, you know. So again, it's consequences. It's all risk reward analysis, and you want to make the risk much, much, much heavier than the reward. And this is what I like about Trump. He's willing to escalate all the way to the ultimate price when it comes to crime. And that's not something that lefties are willing to do. So what we have going on right now, so I've talked to you about a lot of stuff. This is where I'm going to try and tie it together. What I think we have going on right now with LA where you have a bunch of foreign nationals, non-citizens, rioting with the support of sympathetic citizens, sympathetic people who are U.S. citizens. And I would not be surprised at all to learn with the support of the deep state via funneling of money through NGOs, which has been severely diminished since we shut down USAID, but all that stuff, that may not be as crippled as we think. It's all, right now, the deep state has the courts doing a pretty effective job of slow rolling some things. I think that they're just slow rolling an inevitability, but they are buying themselves time and then they're doing stuff with it. Right, so I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the deep state is directly involved in these riots, particularly given that Karen Bass, her entire background is in riots and communism. So we have another situation here where the enemy is like a paramilitary organization. They're not a uniformed military. Well, okay, but ideologically, we're starting to see things get back to black and white. It's becoming more clear than ever. And this is what I think is happening. Here's where I'm trying to tie it all together. My opinion is that the left's insane rhetoric of the past several decades, which they knew to be insane, but they used to exploit people, hoodwink them, and sell them on a false narrative to push their own agenda, those chickens are now coming home to roost, because you can't lie forever and have it not find you out. My example here is that Nancy Pelosi has been doing this for decades. Whenever she gets out there and talks about racism and how the right is full of a bunch of bigoted neo-Nazi, KKK, minority-hating, hate mongers that want to see you and yours destroyed, she knew that that's just creating leverage, that it's not true at all, but that it's fostering a voter base for her that is emotionally invested and feels like she is the answer to their own existential dread. What are we going to do? Well, vote for me, and I'll make sure these wolves are held at bay, and we'll go after them. You see, Nancy Pelosi knows none of that is true. This is the Pied Piper's song. But it creates a panic narrative for people that will now vote for her almost no matter what. Even if she's not able to deliver on the other financial freedom things that she has promised. And time and time and time again, she fails them in her promise to lift them up. They will keep voting for her because they believe that without her, they're dead. Nancy Pelosi, once again, to hammer this home, knows that that is false. But you go to the generations that have come up under that propaganda, and they don't know that they're the propagandized. They do not know that's false. And that's how you end up with an AOC, who is now a strong opposition force to Nancy Pelosi. Now, by this point in time, AOC has been in D.C. long enough to know how things actually work, and I believe she has cast her lot with the establishment. She's doing the same thing now. She's just selling herself as an outsider, and if you want real change, I'll deliver it, but she's not. She's a champagne, what do they call that? Champagne communist. She's been rich her whole life. That's another thing a lot of people don't know, it seems. But now she's definitely rich. She's a multimillionaire, I believe. And But you get people coming up in the Democrat Party who are new blood, and they are not savvy about what the real plan is. They're not savvy that this is all just a rhetorical game in order to enslave people to keeping us in power. They think it's all real. And so they come in and they really want to do the revolution, right? So these people that are what we're seeing, I think, time to start looking, is we are seeing the left as a group. This is including Nancy Pelosi. They're having their hand forced. You've heard the phrase, make them die, make them fall on their sword. This is the hill that you're going to die on, right? In this case, it's that second one I want to talk about. This is the hill you're going to die on. In this case, that hill is not even a real hill. It's a hill that the Democrats created. They manufactured it with shovel loads of dirt. I can remember whenever I was a kid, we had to have our septic tank dug up one time. So they dug down, 8 or 9 or 10 feet, however much it was. I think it was probably 10 to 12 feet. And that all of that dirt ended up, I don't really know how, because they put a new septic tank in, or they repaired it, I don't know what, and then they recovered it. But somehow, after recovering it, there was still a whole little hill of dirt in our yard. And for whatever reason, we never flattened that out or moved it. It just kind of stayed there. I don't really know why. I think Dad was just really, really, really busy with work at the time. And us kids never got tasked with it, so it didn't move. Well, eventually, grass grew over it, and it just became a hill in our yard. And it looked like a real hill, because the grass grew over it. It looked like part of the landscape, But it wasn't. It wasn't natural. Man made that. Well, that's what the Democrats have done with their rhetoric. They have created a hill of racism and hatred and bigotry that it didn't really naturally exist. I'm not saying that racism has never existed. Racism will always exist, and it goes both ways. You go talk to a Marxist, they won't tell you that. And I could go into that too, because I can prove that doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe I've done it before. I used South Africa as the example. I've been doing that for years, before South Africa became the problem that it was, or that it is right now. I haven't found anything yet. I haven't found, Yarrow. I found Yarrow. All right, let's call the horse. Start moving around at a quicker pace. So what the left is being forced to do now, because they are increasingly made up of the propagandized, less and less is it the people that engineered this idea, the brains behind the whole thing. More and more, it's these people that are emotionally invested and completely propagandized, and they want to do the most insane things. And so the left as a whole, and the Democrats as a party, are really being forced to take, another way that I've heard this is they're having to take the 20 position on every 80-20 doom loop split. And what that means is that on these wedge issues in America, where 80% of the population feels like we should do X, and 20% says, no, we should do Y, the Democrats are being forced to stand on the 20% side. It's killing them. They are losing support rapidly, so that all that's left is the most extreme people who they now have to appease or risk losing their party altogether. So what we're seeing happen in LA with foreign nationals raising their flags of the countries they refuse to live in and hurling, trying to do damage and in some cases even kill our police forces. The left is being forced to side with that, which is playing right into other people's narratives. There are two narratives that's playing right into. One of them is the invasion narrative, that these aren't refugees, these are invaders. Well, it kind of looks like that right now. And if that goes widespread and America starts to say, yeah, treat them like invaders. Oh boy, I don't think these people are ready for that. I don't think they're ready for it psychologically. I don't think they're trained for it. That I'm telling you right now, this is going to sound really harsh, but I'm telling you the truth. You get civilians trying to fight a war against veterans that have an understanding of how tactics work, and that's a slaughter. Come out there and try and throw your bricks against howitzers. Come out there, get your hands on weapons and see if you can work together with squad tactics and flank people. Can you fix an enemy position and take it down? Do you even know how to shoot straight? Or are you only good up to 20 yards? It's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. You unleash a squad of Marines in there and tell them go kill the enemy, and it ain't nothing nice. So the other thing that it's giving credence to is what's become known as the Great Replacement Theory. Now, this started out, and one of the reasons it gets called a conspiracy theory and racist, is this started out as really centered on white people. And everybody knows right now that white people are the last group of people that are not allowed to stand up for themselves. If you do, it's racist. That's just been the prevailing narrative for a really long time. So for white people to come out and say, hey, they're trying to replace us, it's really easy for the left to flip that around and say, oh, you're just a bunch of bigots. You know, scared of change, scared of multicultural, diversified people groups. Right? It's very easy for the left to say that, whenever that might not be what the white person is thinking at all. They might not have any problem whatsoever with living and thriving with multiple ethnicities. America is the great melting pot. It's really pretty absurd when you start to really drill into it and think about it, but it works. Doggone, man, straight charged me. It works. But now, well, not just now, for a while. You know, I can remember when Barack Obama got out of office, and there's a number of black people who felt like he did them dirty. He was supposed to be for them. That's what their hope was. Oh, he looks like us. Finally, we got a black president in office. And then that didn't go like they were hoping. He opened the floodgates to South America. And so now, here more recently, during the Biden years, you had black people in Chicago really stand up and be like, well, we're done with you because you're trying to replace us with these people. So see, it's not just in the white community anymore. And that's the thing that is, I think, dangerous to the Democrats. People who are traditionally part of their own coalition are starting to see, hey, I think you're trying to replace us. So what the whole thing then is leading to is that because the issues are so clear and audacious, really. It's almost like we're getting back to uniformed warfare, where you know who is who. There's no guessing. There's no gray area to hide in. You can't go and commit a terrorist act and then just melt into the civilian population. Not anymore. It's getting real clear who's who. And people are able to figure that out for themselves. And that means that the propaganda's failing. So the left is having to support more and more things that are unpopular, deeply unpopular, with the wider population. So I hope all that made sense. I brought up a lot of different factors and different facets there. I think that Trump is going to make them pay the iron price. He's already brought in the National Guard. He's threatening to cut off federal funding to the entire state of California. And his what's called an escalation ladder is much higher. He's the president of the United States. And he's tied up by the deep state, but he still has a lot of ability. He's got more ability than Gavin Newsom does.
Yep.
And that's being witnessed right now. So not only do we have a guy in power who's willing to go the distance when it comes to fighting crime and securing our border, but we are also witnessing the creation of the conditions that gives him a national mandate to do so. And you have a real clear-cut Team A versus Team B. Or it's getting more clear-cut every day. Which is going to make it a lot easier to go after people that used to be somewhat protected by the veil of ambiguity. Oh yeah, I'm going towards my marker there.
Yeah.
We're at 57 minutes. I've not found a whole lot of mint. I've found a little bit. So this is, I probably didn't get that out quite as clearly as I would like, but it's an ongoing developing situation. And I hope I put enough on the table that you can just watch and see how it develops and see whether or not I was on target on a few things. But I think that this is getting more and more clear-cut with each passing day as far as who holds the common sense position and who holds the absolutely insane position between the left and the right. I mean, right now, the phrase, "I didn't leave the left left me," is trending. That's a phrase that's been around for a while, but it might be Thomas Sowell who made it popular. I can't remember, but it's gotten popular again here in recent years. Raspberry. Trump just won in a landslide victory that, from the left's perspective, they're calling it the greatest political comeback in history. I don't think that was surprising at all, but the left doesn't really have their finger on the pulse. Not anymore. That's another thing. You know, every team has a strategy. They have like a core way that they approach a game and how they're going to win it, right? In football, maybe you're a power run team, or maybe you're a spread offense. Either way, you have a philosophical approach to how you construct your team and how you run your playbook. What plays you have, what plays you throw out, and which ones are your bread and butter plays. So every team and every army in the history of mankind has a certain flavor to them, a way that they do things. And they can all be countered. You have rock, paper, scissors moments. For the left, the modern left, when I say modern, I mean like World War I and on. In other words, we're not talking 1899, even though that's awful close. their central strategy has been to be the populist movement, to appeal to the people, and they've lied their faces off to pull that off. For the right, it's generally been about the economy and national defense. For the left, what have you seen them campaign on for forever and a day? Lifting up the downtrodden, making everybody equal, fighting for civil rights. These are populist positions meant to appeal to the people that feel left out and isolated in a given society. So what happens if the left loses their popularity? Well, that's like a heavy run team losing its star running back. Or they lose enough offensive linemen throughout the year that they just no longer can run. They have to try and find another way. Bill Belichick has a phrase called force them to play left-handed. It means take away a team's strength and make them do things that they're not comfortable and not practiced at. Make them win in ways they may have the personnel for it, but they don't have the mentality and they're not practiced at it. It feels foreign to them. It feels weird. They're uncomfortable doing it. That's what throw left-handed means. I don't need Yarrow. And I think that's what the left is being forced to do. They're being forced to do things to win in ways that are not typical for them. And they are losing the ability to do things the way that they are designed to do. And it's just been fantastic to watch. I'd like to find at least one more patch of mint. We're up over an hour. Usually I come out here and it's kind of all over the place, but not this time around.
Yep.
Let's stay close to the river. It looks like Yarrow is up that way. Mint is going to be down here around the water, I think. Pink flowers, what are you? Burdock root. Okay. I think the mint is a really light pink or maybe a light blue. Oh, also, let's go ahead and feed Arthur while I'm thinking about it. And the horse. So where all these people out in the streets are excited because they feel like they're kind of gaining strength and they're able to do more and more bold activities, you know, I would imagine that Antifa's really stoked. They haven't come close to facing opposition because we haven't unleashed hell on them yet. I mean, you got Antifa out there literally trying to blind cops. That's why we haven't responded to that, I don't really know. We know where a lot of these people are at. We got a heat map that shows where they live. We know where a ton of them are. It'd be real easy to go ahead and send a message by arresting 1,000 of them and sending them to prison for life. Turn big rocks into small rocks. I don't know if I ate 2 of these or not. But I figure there's probably a reason, because I tell you what, I trust my guy.
Okay there, boy?
And so they think that I would imagine that they think that they're really gaining power and the revolution is happening, right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. These people are highlighting and exposing themselves. I don't think they have any idea that their overlords, the ones that make all this happen, are actually feeling the heat and at a reduced operational capability, like a kind of a severely reduced, to be honest. And that they're stirring up a lot of bad will against them for a side that was really, really reliant on having popular support. I can remember a few years ago, during the 2020 Summer of Love, Antifa showed up. Well, they were going nuts.
There we go.
And Trump put a crackdown out on them. This is when you had a lot of lefties hollering about people being yanked off the street by uniformed police and stuff without, and it looked like even military maybe, without any due process or anything. And so they were protecting, they were trying to run, they were howling over this. They were upset that we were arresting criminals. This is the wild mint I was looking for. And it caused Antifa to have to slow down. They showed up at one riot, and their leader, all of these Antifa units, they have like a captain in charge who's trained in what to do. He's the one that's got the plan. He's the one that, or she, is the one that organizes people and keeps everybody moving. That the activities that they're engaging in is moving towards a singular purpose. That's the brain of the operation. And that person didn't show up. And Antifa end up just standing around, not knowing what to do. These people can't do anything whenever they have no leaders. They're worthless. They're really pretty stupid people. They have no idea what they're doing. They just want to set stuff on fire. And they're willing to take risks to do it. Other times, I have seen Antifa cancel riots because a counter-protest of patriots that was willing to go fisticuffs was going to show up. And the way that they do it, they always say, we have deemed that it's not safe for us to protest. Because they want to give the illusion that they're not being allowed to peacefully protest, right? But look at the language. Safety, safety, safety. These aren't the people that are going to be able to stand on a front line and really die for what they believe in and give you a hard fight the whole way. When push comes to shove and you put these people in a position that they have to face the real prospect of dying for what they believe in, they will, every single one of them, run. When you meet them with force on force, and they have to face the same, I'm not talking about even more than what they're willing to do, just the same of what they're willing to do. You're going to see, I shouldn't say every single one of them will run. I think there's a number of them that would stay, but not enough. Not enough. Because most of it is made up of a trendy club. They're either black tar heroin drug addicts, street urchins, I'm just going to say it, or they're trust fund kids that have no purpose in life and don't feel like their life means anything, so they want to be part of something they feel is significant and meaningful, and they have misguidedly chosen this. Those two classes right there, they will run as soon as bullets start flying. And the sad fact of the matter is that if they don't, they'll just be wiped up really quickly. There's just such a huge gulf between civilian strategy of causing unrest to drive change and military strategy of fixing and exterminating the enemy. There is an enormous gulf between those two backgrounds. So I'm not saying that we're going to see that soon. I'm just trying to say this is the direction the wind is blowing. I think when it comes down to it, these civilians that fancy themselves to be revolutionaries are quickly going to find out they just They don't know what's happening. And you know, here in America, if you're the counter-revolutionary, you could point to 1776 and say, hey, it's happened before and we're the ones that did it. Yeah, I don't think you're of that quality. I don't think so. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up on that. We're at an hour 10. I got the mint that I was looking for. I also got some oregano, so we can make some of that. And we'll go ahead and save it right here. And in the next episode, we're going to go do the Sadie Adler mission. Let's go ahead and create a save point. Glad I got those herbs. We needed them. We got meat on hand. We didn't have any herbs, so we can cook right away. All right, we're at 62.7% completion. And again, I'm ASAP Grim. Thank you for coming by the channel. I hope you like what you saw. More importantly, I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. And I'll see you in the next episode, where this story continues.